We will start with an opening statement from head coach Josh Wolff. Josh?
Yeah, pretty pleased with the performance. I mean, obviously, it's Open Cup elimination competition, so the goal and objective was always to win and move on, and now see who our next opponent is. But I thought it was a good example of what we've been building off of over the last couple games, building off of what we started at the beginning of the year. So created a lot of chances, got some goals. Good to see Rodney and Emmy contribute with the ball, obviously grabbing a goal. Maxi worked tirelessly again, and we were able to get some guys in there and get some minutes, and obviously preserve some legs as the game went on. But I thought a pretty dominant performance. Second half was more about managing the game, managing minutes, minimizing opportunities for New Mexico. I thought the guys did a really good job of it. Less with the ball, but more just taking away what they would like to do or try to do. And we could have hit the third or fourth, and that would have been the knockout punch. But pleased for it. Obviously, really happy for the fans. Good set of fans for an Open Cup game. I don't know how many games see that many fans, so we're really excited by the opportunity. Hopefully we can get another home game and see who our opponent will be in a couple of weeks.
Phil?
Yeah, congrats on the win, first of all. Yeah, so it looks like, again, you had a 3 center back, 2 wing back kind of setup. So just kind of curious about how that's evolved, how you've come up with that, and what kinds of things you see that helping the team with.
Yeah, it's the same structure that we had at the beginning of the year, to be honest. It's pretty much the exact same that we started with. We were quite good then. It's maybe more natural center backs, I guess, but Nick's a fullback. So to be honest, it's quite similar to what we started with. And we defend, we're a little bit lower in 5-3-2 at times, but we can easily be flexible, get right back to our 4-4-2 structure. That's what we need based on what the opponent can do. But I think the flexibility is something we talked about. The evolution of our game model with and without the ball is important. I think you're going to have schedule congestion, you're going to have different opponents, and this is just a product of what we saw in the offseason and what we wanted to build throughout the early part of preseason and as the season went on. But the rewards are coming up the other end of the field, more because of the willingness to run, the ability to arrive in the box for Rodney, Emmy, and Ethan, the guys that work and run. And obviously, Vince said is in that he likes to be a little bit more on the ball, and we'll have to find obviously what works best when we get Seba back. But for the time being, we don't have Seba, we don't have Owen, we don't have Diego, we don't have Z, and we're happy to see that we got Julio in there and Rado got some minutes. So for the time being, we'll float in between structures, but these guys are doing a good job, obviously understanding what we're trying to do and creating good goals for each other.
Yeah, and then just wanted to ask, Rado got his debut, and then Jafal got some minutes in there. So just kind of thoughts about that. Wouldn't maybe not the rotation that you could have done and gotten away with necessarily, but definitely still some players that we haven't gotten to see a lot of.
Yeah, I think for Rado it was important. Again, he was trending well. He got ill at the beginning of last week, Monday, Tuesday. He trained Wednesday, Thursday, and then wasn't able to travel with us on our game. So I was happy to see him get in there and get minutes. He's going to be somebody that's going to need to play over the next month as well. We got a lot of games coming in quick succession. I think Sofian, again, as he came back from an ankle injury, I think he could have been a little bit better tonight. I think he was a little sloppy with the ball, but he's coming off of an injury. He gives us quality and calm, and as a 6, he could also play, if we wanted to use our front 3 in a different way where they can play in pockets. But good to get him minutes. I think it's the Open Cup is about getting the win first and foremost, and getting guys through it healthy, and obviously doing some of the things that we've been working on. And I think from that standpoint, everybody's pretty pleased, and we'll look forward to Dallas.
Rodney and Emmy, obviously,
Yeah.
you said contributed. They had a good game back against San Jose as well. What has made that partnership, if you want to call it, on the wings so good over the last 3 weeks? Have you seen anything special in practice about the way those two have been playing together, I guess?
Well, I think one for Rodney, it's opportunity. I don't know how many times he started or when the last times he started for us were. So for him, as much grief as he's probably gotten, he hasn't probably gotten a fair shake of getting the starts. But last year we performed extremely well. It was challenging to get in the lineup. So his minutes this year, I think he's come in and contributed right away. I think it was, we praise him quite often about what he does at the training field. Now it's how can you bring that into the game, and you see it again tonight, what he's capable of doing. Emmy, likewise, I think he's been one of of our better performers since the start of the year. And these guys run, they work, they run behind the line, they arrive in front of goal. We weren't doing that in moments in some of the games this year, and that's what starts to hold up our ability to progress attacks, to sustain attacks. And we have a decent amount of depth. I wouldn't say it's an incredible amount, but we need to utilize our guys. They need to come in, they need to feel part of the group, they need to perform. Those performances validate their case inside the group, but it also helps validate our team's mentality. And I think you can see over the last few games, it's been trending in a good way. This was a result we expected to get, and obviously you got to come out and get the goals and win the game. But Rodney and Emmy have certainly done well in the last couple of weeks. We need them to continue to do that.
And then you've scored 6 goals over the last 3 games, and especially that second goal.
Still
tonight,
not enough.
Especially that second goal tonight was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
You've talked about having the floodgates eventually open up. Can you kind of feel the rush starting to form now?
Well, I think they're seeing and feeling how they can, construct goals. Again, off of set pieces, we've been quite dangerous as well. Our expected goals and set pieces are the best in the league, even though we haven't probably scored or realized as many of those. But we're quite strong in that. And having Julio and Leo, and I think Rado will help us. But again, I think those things, run a play, how you can finalize attacks, both now with what I'm seeing is there's more dynamic. There's quick attacks as well, as much as there is now the ability to disorganize and move the ball. As you saw with the second goal, it was quite nice. But you have to have a variety of ways to score goals. You can never score enough goals. And we're glad to have 2. We could have had 3, 4. And the more goals we're scoring, the more players that are contributing, the more confidence the group gets, the more believability they have in any setup or strategy that we may create for them. But I'm pleased for the guys.
Josh, obviously everybody loves a Cinderella story unless you are on the receiving end of it, which you guys were last year against San Antonio, against Violette. Is there a sense of relief just knowing you guys were able to handle business tonight here at home?
It's Open Cup. Elimination games are, they're never easy. I watched watched the games last night. They're all 1-goal games. They're in overtime, so it's quite common if it's in Open Cup in the United States, if it's FA Cup in England, if it's DFB Pokal in Germany. I mean, it happens. It's Cinderella stories, or it's just competition. You got one team that's maybe in a different league. They have a chip on their shoulder for a variety of reasons, and how do you come in ready to play? And again, you keep referencing Violette and last year, but we came in those competitions to compete and win, and we didn't get it done on the day. So you take nothing for granted, and there's no opponent that you or I guess we would ever take lightly. So you have to get out there and perform. And performing doesn't always mean you get the result that you want, but it's part of this competition, and you got to be hungry and you got to be ruthless, and we're pleased to win and keep moving through.
And then Rodney gets not only has been producing, but also kind of feeling the love a bit. He gets to bang the drum. Fans are chanting his name. How rewarding does that feel, just knowing the patience that he's had to have and that the club's had to have to kind of get him to a place where he's contributing?
Yeah, I think from his standpoint, it's just that. It's being patient. He didn't get a ton of opportunities last year, and he hasn't started a ton of games over the last 18 months. So he's a young player. I've talked about what these YPSs are coming into our league at 18, 19, 20 years old. It's not easy. Whether it's our own domestic players at 18, 19, 20 years old, it's not easy. So imagine yourself coming into this country, not knowing the language, not having really any sense of attachment yet, and it takes time. It really does. And we're patient with him. He's embraced it. He's trained extremely well. He's put in, his own work and understanding how he can be used on the left side, the right side, in the pocket, on the line, running behind the line. Defensively, he has a much better understanding of it. So the more prepared you are, the more confident you feel about performances. And I think over the course of time now, he has a good understanding of what we're doing. His preparation is in place. Now it's just about executing when the lights are on, the fans are in the stands, and the grass is wet. And he's been able to do that the last couple games. So we're excited for him, but he has to continue. And so does Emmy, and so does Maxi, and so does Giassi, and so does the rest of our group.
YPS, is that young player signing?
Yeah, those, we call them the young DPs, so to speak.
Just getting 90 minutes out of Hector and Johan, just how big was that?
Good. I think for Johan, you could see he was laboring at the end there. It's a lot of work in the middle of the field. Hector as well. Hector gives us a lot of calm. I think understanding what we were trying to do in this game, how he could come lower and you start to pull the back line apart. I think the first goal it was really clear. It was really clear that was part of it. Or the second goal, but he did a real good job. Obviously, he gives us calm with the ball, and as the game goes on, I think they all tire. But we had some guys that we knew had to go 90 minutes and hang in there. Adam put in a good shift, so we were able to get Johnny out there and minimize some of his minutes and make sure he's fresh and ready to go on the weekend. But those guys need to log minutes. We're going to need them again going forward. It's Saturday, Wednesday for a while, which is good. I think the cadence will be good for the guys. They feel good about where they're at, and now it's just how we can freshen up, put together our strategy, and get these guys ready for a game on Saturday against Dallas.
The defense did its job this game with a blank score, and the guys that are supposed to score actually scored.
Yeah.
The forward. So how much of a relief is that in the locker room for both sets of players?
I think we're a collective group. So the defending starts in the front. I think for Maxi, him getting a little more familiar with what we're trying to do when we don't have the ball. Certainly in this setup is different for him, but. Again, I think there's certain things that we want to take away when we don't have the ball to have a level of control. And, obviously when we have the ball, I think it's how can we create chances? What do our attacks look like? Having a bit of variety where it can be quick attacks, where it's through the middle, or the ability to set up attacks and get around teams on the outside. So I think that's what we've been focusing a lot on. And, I think we've reemphasized certain things now that Seba's down. So we can win games without Seba. We can score goals without Seba. It's important that our guys see that and feel that, and now truly believe that. And it's not just against New Mexico. It's the past weekend in Portland as well. So going forward, we're going to need that hunger. We're going to need that belief, and certainly the commitment and the contributions from the many that you've already mentioned. But you can never score enough goals. I'll keep saying it, and we got to find ways, run a play, set pieces, and so forth. But it doesn't matter who scores. We just got to find goals, and obviously when we get shutouts, it's quite nice as well. So.
Yeah, congrats on the win, Coach.
Thanks.
Just kind of, how would you rate the performances of Lundqvist recently, especially coming in after the Kolmanic injury?
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate with Z. It's I think this, a little bit of what we're doing now, he would fit into it quite well. And you want two natural left-footed guys. I think that was the point and the purpose of acquiring Adam. It takes time to get up to speed with how we play. He comes from a different place, and they've played a different way. And I think it's like anything. There's growing pains with him getting familiar with it. We had him in the line building as 3. We've had him high on the line as a winger. We've had him as a flat fullback and 4. So there's little nuances in there and details that are new to him, and it does take time. But I think his last 2 performances have been quite strong, both offensively and defensively. It gives him a little bit more freedom to be aggressive in a back 5. And I think his quality, his service, his running is what he really enjoys doing, as with Z. So when you have that cultured service that these 2 guys can provide and a willingness to get into the attack, it's quite helpful. Obviously, without Z, we have one guy over there, but Johnny could also shift over there. We can play Emmy lower if we need to, or Ethan on that side. So we'll keep tinkering, but really pleased with his contributions of late for sure.
We were a little surprised to not see Giassi in the lineup or even on the bench. Could you give us some visibility into that?
We got an 18-man roster, and I think Will scored last weekend, so we wanted to keep that going. We really wanted to see Rado and Julio get in there and get minutes, so there's limited space, and that was the decision tonight, so he can be fresh and ready to go on Saturday. So Giassi's done extremely well. He's going to continue to play major minutes for us. Him and Maxi are our out-and-out starters. I think will continue to get fit, but he finds ways to contribute the way that he can. He can be a link-up guy, a hold-up guy if we need to go to 2 strikers. I think Will gives us some of that, and obviously a really big goal last week in Portland. So nothing more than, one, he gets a little bit of rest, and him and Diego put in a good training session today with Amro, with the ATX2 team. So they're physically in a good place that could all possibly, Gio will see minutes. Diego, I'm not sure of.
You were talking about Rodney Redes being like young, but on the other hand, you have Johan Valencia's with more experience in the South American soccer field kind of thing. How do you feel about his performance tonight, and how do you feel that he can contribute in the future games that are coming up?
Yeah, I think he's got to continue to get acclimated with our positional game. I think He's growing in it. I think the minutes tonight are good for him. You could see physically he faded, and that starts to affect decision making, positioning, ball security, and it's challenging. I mean, we got Danny Pereira and Owen Wolf have done a fantastic job. I think they're clearly for me and for our group the best two center mids in that position. And when we play with one center mid, it becomes challenging to see minutes for Johan. But I think Johan's, he's going to need to continue to play. He's a champion down in South America, as you mentioned. He's got a great spirit about him. I think he came in and worked incredibly hard tonight. Whether we're playing with two center mids or one center mid, he's going to see minutes going forward. And when he gets his opportunity, it's about performing. So playing time, will always revolve around performance. But we are in schedule congestion, and he's going to need to continue to perform. But I thought tonight was good. It was a good performance.
Thanks. We'll take one more, and then we'll lead you back to interview some players.
Hey, Josh, what are your general observations of FC Dallas so far this season, and what's it going to take to beat them on Saturday?
Dallas is a good team, well coached, obviously really familiar with some of the competitions and games last year that we played them. They're a little more flexible with their structure this year. They've come in and made some, as most teams, you make some adjustments based on 1 year, and we're doing the similar things with some of our ideology. But they're still quite good. Ferreira's vertical. Ariola's quite good. We'll see how he is physically. Their midfield is very fluid, a lot of moving pieces. Velasco shows up in a lot of different places, and they have a speed about them that's difficult to deal with. And you want to minimize space. You got to find the right ways to press them. And when you have the ball, there's a commitment for them to get below the ball and make it difficult to score. But we've had good matches against them. I expect it to be a very good one, and we'll need a full stands and a vociferous crowd and some real intensity. But we want to continue winning ways here at Q2 and continue to build momentum, continue to build off good performances, and continue to move up the table.
And you will receive an advisory tonight for a media availability at St. David's Performance Center tomorrow ahead of FC Dallas. We're still finalizing the time for that, but stay tuned. Thanks, y'all. Appreciate it.